Lo and behold, CM Punk has returned to the company that fired him on his wedding day. This is something that was unfathomable 2 years ago, but here we are. Crazier things have happened in the world of professional wrestling, but that's the thing that makes it both special and unpredictable. For years, WWE has presented its fans with poor storytelling, but it's those shocking moments that have kept us fans all this time. For every stupid and illogical segment this company has produced, it has also put out some of the most shocking and memorable moments that to this very day we still can't believe happened in the first place. So today, let's see the top WWE moments we thought would never happen. Let's get right into it. Imagine Roman Reigns' contract with WWE comes up now, and he shows up at AEW Dynamite with the Universal Championship. Internet would go on fire, am I right? Something like this happened back in 1991 when Ric Flair debuted at WWE Superstars with the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. To make a long story short, WCW and Ric Flair parted ways when Ric was still the world champion. Back then, a world champion had to deposit $25,000 with the company as a way of not leaving the promotion with the championship. The champion would get his deposited sum back after losing the title. But in Ric's case, he was the one who personally paid for the creation of the big gold belt. He thought that the championship was his property and the promotion owed him $25,000. When WCW refused to pay him, Ric decided to go into complete rebel mode and signed with WWE. It was no less than a spectacle to see Ric arriving in a completely different promotion and claiming himself to be the real world's champion. A wrestler arriving with another promotion's championship was unthinkable back then, and it is still unthinkable now. And if anyone can pull something like this off, it's the Nature Boy. However, no moment has ever come close to the one that silenced 60,000 individuals in a stadium. Whether you like to hear this or not, Hulk Hogan is one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. He is one of the major reasons why WWE is so successful today. He was the face of the golden era, and you could make a strong case that it was his legendary run that put WWE on the map. At one point, it felt like Hulk would remain a WWE lifer. But no, Hulk left the company when his contract expired in 1993. He went on to sign with WCW and had one of the best heel turns ever. The formation of the New World Order, NWO, elevated WCW to new heights, and Hulk was always the center of attention. Despite Vince acquiring WCW later on, Hulk appearing in WWE felt a bit impossible. That's because Vince got into trouble when he was charged with the accusation of supplying illegal steroids to his performer. And do you know who one of the prosecution's main witnesses was? Hulk Hogan. However, Hulk kind of saved Vince when he claimed that Vince never supplied him with illegal steroids. Even though Hulk protected Vince in this scenario, we know that Vince can get furious over anything. Hulk's appearance in WWE looked unlikely, but fans were shocked when the Hulkster returned as part of the New World Order in 2002. Despite being a heel, fans cheered for Hulk, and Hulk had a decent run that also saw him have an excellent encounter with The Rock at WrestleMania 18. The 1990s was all about one thing: WWE versus WCW. At one point, it felt as if WCW was on the verge of completely demolishing WWE, as Monday Nitro once beat Raw in the ratings for 84 consecutive weeks. WWE turned its luck around with the Attitude Era and got the upper hand on WCW. The senior vice president of WCW, Eric Bischoff, was hell-bent on putting an end to Vince McMahon's creation, but every strategy that Eric came up with ended up backfiring at him. And just like that, WCW began to lose money. Vince took advantage of this and he acquired WCW, ultimately winning the war. However, just because you are the competition doesn't mean you can't build relationships in the future. After ending WCW for good, Vince decided that it would be better to bring Eric on board. This was something no one ever thought was possible. The thought of bringing in your real-life past competitor in your company was just insane. On the July 15th episode of Raw in 2002, Eric made his WWE debut as the general manager of Raw and embraced Vince on stage. This was a sight for the ages. WWE could have capitalized on this by putting on a feud between Eric and Vince, but that never came to fruition. Regardless of that, this wasn't the first time a WCW-related segment blew us away. WWE was unpredictable back in the day, mainly because the internet was yet to become a big thing and the fans didn't have many clues about potential surprises. We all knew that WCW was nearing its end, but I would be lying to you when I say that I knew WWE would be going on air and letting everybody know that it had bought WCW. The March 26th edition of both Raw and Nitro in 2001 is special for two reasons. One, it was the final episode of Nitro, and two, Vince and Shane both appeared on Nitro that night. During the entire show, Vince bragged about purchasing WCW and teased its fate in the main event. However, the best surprise was yet to come. In the main event, we saw Shane arriving on Nitro and revealing to the entire world that it was actually him who acquired WCW. It was shocking at the time, not because Shane bought WCW. Let's be honest, we knew it was Vince, but because of the possibility of a WCW versus WWE storyline. Who would have thought we would be getting to see WCW stars going up against WWE stars? This is how the Invasion storyline came into existence and say, what you want, how it played out, it really was a great time to be a wrestling fan in 2001. This segment alone made us believe that anything was possible in the weird world of professional wrestling. And speaking of impossible moments, in 2014, we saw the end of CM Punk's WWE career. After multiple frustrations over creative and deteriorating health, CM Punk had enough and he decided to walk out on the company. Things got so messed up when WWE decided to hand Punk's termination letters on his wedding day. Whether it was intentional or not, this was not the way to handle business. For years, it felt as if Punk would remain away from wrestling. Tony Khan, however, had different plans. AEW got so hot that it was making a strong case for being the best wrestling company in the entire world in terms of storylines and in-ring action. In 2021, CM Punk returned to the one thing that made him famous: pro wrestling. For the amount of time he was there, CM Punk had great feuds with the likes of MJF and Eddie Kingston. Little did we know that 2 backstage brawls would seal the deal of Punk's AEW run. After getting fired from AEW, CM Punk's return to WWE became a possibility. I mean, who wouldn't want a star of that caliber in his company? However, CM Punk's backstage behavior was a major reason why most wouldn't welcome him back in WWE. But knowing it's WWE, there was a chance that the straight-edge superstar would show up at Chicago. At Survivor Series, the crowd chanted CM Punk all night long, and just when you thought the show was about to go off air, our favorite song, Cult of Personality, started to play. The crowd erupted and the man himself returned to WWE. After all the comments he made over the past many years, his return seemed impossible, and we didn't see this one coming. This was a well-kept secret, and it paid off hugely. Where do I even start with this one? We thought that he was invincible on the grandest stage of them all. We thought that it would never end, but it did. The Undertaker's streak was the best thing about WrestleMania, and we thought that the dead man would retire with his streak remaining unbeaten. No wrestling journalist reported about this, and we all thought Brock Lesnar was just there to put over The Undertaker. This is the perfect example of an unthinkable moment. When Brock hit the final F5 on The Undertaker and covered him for a 3 count, every fan in the stadium stood up in disbelief. Everyone was silent, and WWE let the moment play out by not having Brock's music play for a few minutes. Never before we have witnessed a moment like this, and I don't think anything will ever come close to this. If you liked it too, please like and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos.